Welcome back to Midnight Inc. once again. Today we're running through our favorite picks for top lane, their builds that are our favorites, and the items that you may want to build on them. For Illaoi, I like to take Kleptomancy with Resolve Secondary. Futures Market can help mid-game with item spikes, and Time Warp Tonic with Corruption Potion is fantastic. Black Cleaver into Sterix with boots weaved in wherever you need them. And also weaving in Death's Dance is a possibility depending on how you prefer to play. Garen, I prefer Grasp of the Undying, Bone Plating, Second Wind, Doran's Shield. Your survivability in lane is to the point where it's nearly unacceptable. And building Black Cleaver is pretty much all the damage you'll need. Although if you want to build more, that's on you. Warmogs is great on him with his passive also, and weaving in a Spirit Visage makes you pretty much unkillable throughout the game. Darius, I take Grasp with Bone Plating, and Sorcery Secondary can finish off your CDR cap, and Scorch works well with his passive. He also works well with Corruption Potion, and Black Cleaver is a great item on him, and Sterix I think is just good in 3v3 overall. It's a good thing to throw into his build. The Fiora and solo lane, I prefer Kleptomancy for extra gold generation, with Resolve Secondary for survivability. Although if you like, you can take Sudden Impact, as it works well on her in Domination Tree. Start Corruption Potion Longsword, and usually rush Hydra for wave clear into any number of damage items. Camille, I generally take Arcane Comet for poke, which hits every time with her W for nice harass. I usually like to start with as much damage as possible, so Doran's, Longsword, Pots, it's a nice lane start for dueling. Usually build Tiamat into Triforce for a nice amount of mid-game damage. Jayce works very well with Summon Airy, it's his best choice at the moment. Resolve Secondary for survivability, and start one of the Doran's items with Longsword. Doran's depending on how much damage you'll think you'll be trading in lane. Ghostblade is super high damage early game and can swing the game, so pick it up early, followed by Black Cleaver. Gnar took a nerf recently, still consider him quite good top 3v3. Summon Airy is my opinion his strongest and most irritating rune, with Scorch for very nice early damage and Resolve Secondary. Either Doran's for start, depending on trade potential. Frozen Mallet's super irritating to play against, so that's a first buy, followed by Black Cleaver. Sion has a few builds, and this is his best for early game snowballing, mid game snowballing at the moment. Comet is a sure hit with his E in lane, and the slight AP boost his W damage gets from Spell Thieves is nice. Start Spell Thieves Corruption Potion, build into Abyssal. It seems odd, but seriously try it. His W hits very hard. Nasus, I like Kleptomancy and Biscuit Delivery with Time Warp Tonic. Get a Corruption Potion Longsword, or start with Doran's Rings for mana regeneration. But if you start Doran's Rings, don't take Time Warp Tonic unless you're planning on getting that Corruption Potion later. Rush Triforce with him and get tanky. This build can vary quite a bit, although oddly enough I do like to weave in a Sterix on him. If you have to get tanky before Triforce, that's not a big deal, but Sheen is very helpful. Teemo with Summon Airy is best for sure. I like to take Nullifying Orb for survivability, and then Scorch for extra damage, and Resolve Secondary for survivability in lane fights. Start Corruption Potion Spell Thieves, and get that Nash's Tooth as quickly as you can, and be irritating, if that's what you're into. Kled's a great pick, and I prefer Press the Attack on him. Triumph, Alacrity, Coop. Secondary Bone Plating's optional, but definitely takes Second Wind. It's very good on Kled. I like to start Doran's Blade, Longsword, and build the Tiamat as quick as possible. Usually finish off the Titanic after I get Black Cleaver and full boots of either type, depending on the enemy team. Singed works great with Aftershock and scales nicely with conditioning. I like Sorcery Secondary, and I take Ultimate Hat with Celerity to give you a nice little AP boost during fights and while your ult is active, although he can use many different runes successfully. I prefer to start Corruption Potion, Spell Thieves, build Leandries first, with Righteous Glory second for a really nice mid-game spike. Swain, I like Summon Airy with Ultimate Hat and Transcendence to finish off your CDR. Start Corruption Potion, Spell Thieves, and Rush Aroa for a nice bit of tankiness to take you into mid-game. Renekton's a great pick. I recommend press the attack with Overheal. Domination Secondary gives you a nice bit of extra damage on sudden impact, and heal even more as the game goes on with Ravenous Hunter. Start Doran's based on your matchup with a longsword, rush Black Cleaver, and second either get Triforce or Titanic Hydra, whichever you prefer. Urgot, I've been liking press the attack with Sorcery Secondary to finish off your CDR. Start with a Corruption Potion, longsword, build Black Cleaver first. Second is your choice, but I recommend either going Ghostblade for a nice bit of extra damage, or Frozen Mallet to stick on jumpy targets. Yasuo has swung more towards press the attack this patch, although I feel Fleet Footwork is still good on him. I take Resolve Secondary for survivability and for teamfight survivability, although you can take Domination and get that sudden impact extra damage if you prefer it. Start either Doran's based on the matchup, and pretty much always build Phantom Dancer first, and either Frozen Mallet or Infinity Edge next, followed up by some form of lifesteal that you prefer. Cho'Gath generally takes Grasp, Bone Plating, Second Wind. Combined with his passive and Corruption Potion, you can stay in lane for an unacceptable amount of time. I always rush Righteous Glory to get to squishier backline, and I just build him super tank. You don't really need the damage. He doesn't scale well off of damage at all. What you're going to be focusing on is getting to the back. CC targets. Eat them. Malphite is similar to Cho. However, I like to take Conditioning with Revitalize on him for a nice mid-game spike. Revitalize works with his shields. Start the same as Cho with a Corruption Potion, Spell Thieves, and my core items I prefer on him start Sunfire Cape, followed by a Triforce. Usually you won't be targeted anymore after the Sunfire, and Triforce plus Abyssal gives you a nice boost in damage. Maokai, I prefer Aftershock. Little extra damage it gives, bit of extra survivability. Bone Plating, Second Wind, Doran's Shield, very nice start. Again, with the survivability in lane right now for tanks. I usually rush Righteous Glory, build out my boots for that extra movement and extra resist, depending on what you're playing against, and continue with Spirit Visage and weave in any tanky or tanky AP items you like after that. Thanks for checking out the video, everybody. Be sure to check out Saturday's stream. Starts at 6 to midnight Central Standard Time, North America. If your champion didn't get popped into here, it's likely because we're going to visit it on future videos. We plan on doing bot lane, jungle, and support meta combinations as well. If you want any champions specifically recognized, let me know in the comments, and I appreciate it. We'll catch you guys in the future.